Welcome to Kenilworth Castle on this mildly overcast Bank Holiday Monday. Thank you for coming out. Now, we thought, as we have such a huge display of people here showing what life was like in the Norman era, we thought you might like to have a bit of a clue as to what we're all wearing, who are the important people you should, probably be nice to, and then all the lower ranking people you can ignore. So, in the time period that we are showing, we are the Normans. This is a huge part of society. We thought we'd show you a bit of a cross-section and explain kind of all the way through what people would be wearing. But an absolutely integral part of society at the time was the church. So to explain a little bit about this, I would ask you to step forward, all four of you. And to begin with, I'm going to start with our novice here. You can step forward. So our novice, she is pledged to the order, but she hasn't taken her final vows yet. You will notice between all four of them, as a sign of poverty, all of them wear rope belts. Even the really fancy looking one, they still wear rope belts. We have a scapula here. Effectively, this is an apron, kind of keeps the rest of the clothes nice and clean when you're working. Now, the habit that this sister is wearing, or our novice is wearing, you see how baggy it is. It is made of wool. It is made of natural wool. This has not been dyed. This is just from a dark sheep. And it has not been made for her. It is baggy. This would be owned by the house that she is joining, and it would be handed to her. The reason you can tell she is a novice, she still wears a natural linen wimple. She has not taken her final vows. When she does, she'll replace this with a black veil to show she is actually a full sister of the order. Now here, also fairly simply dressed, this is an abbess. Now, she also, you can see, full member of the order. She has her veil, but her habit also is not actually made for her. Again, even at this high rank, she would be in charge of an order, she'd be in charge of a house, lots of women under her control, and yet still, this is not a habit that has been made for her. This is all owned by the church. She has her rope belt, the cinch, but she does have some keys, and I will talk a bit about keys later on, ladies and gentlemen, but they are very important. They are a sign of status, but I will tell you a little bit more about that later on. Now, may I ask you, Mother Abbess, to explain what you're holding in your hand, please?
Certainly. This is a crozier, and it's used as a symbol of my power. Often in depictions of the period, abbesses would be shown with it facing towards themselves, which represents their power over their abbey, whereas bishops and such would hold it facing away, showing they had power over the surrounding area as well.
Thank you very much, Mother. You can even see she still has signs of faith on her. She has a rosary, she has a cross. These would not belong to her. These would be gifted to her to show obviously that she's doing a good job and the house is doing well, that the church itself is doing well. Thank you. Now we have this gentleman who is doing rather well. This is a priest. His church is doing incredibly well. He's been gifted with beautiful embroidery to show the power of the church, the wealth of the church. He has a beautiful gold cross, his stole, but still again, the cinch, the rope belt. And here we have our bishop. Your Grace, again, still, you have the rope belt. But as a sign he is rather important, a gold cross, jewels in his rings, and he has a purple silk collar on his head. If you wouldn't mind turning for us, Your Grace, again, as a sign of his faith. Purple and silk, both incredibly valuable colours and fabrics, and I will talk to you a little bit about that as we go up the line, ladies and gentlemen. But this is a quick cross-section of some of the clergy members you would see around in the 12th century. Thank you very much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to look more about secular life, we have, let's start at the bottom of the pile, shall we? Can I have... So, these are the people who would be working the fields. Now, as you see, ladies and gentlemen, all our women have their hair covered. This is what we would call a wimple. It's basically a sign of modesty. You know, they are of marriageable age, they are being respectable, and this is how people would live. Covering their hair, and I would like to point out, ladies and gentlemen, marriageable age at this time would be about 12 or 13 years old. So for all of you younger members of the audience, be grateful you live in the 21st century. Now, what you see they're wearing is linen. It's a natural material made from the flax plant, actually quite lightweight. Now, all of the overclothes you see here are made of wool, again, natural material from sheep. Fairly easy to get hold of, to weave at home, and to create clothing. Wool is very warm, helpful for a day like today, also keeps the rain off pretty well. You would normally, if you were of this sort of level in society, you would probably have only this one outfit. You would sleep in your linen undergarments, your underdress, your undertunic, and then you would put on your wool overclothes in order to work. Now, to point out, this gentleman here, it's quite difficult to do lots of manual labour in a big cloak like this. So this gentleman very sensibly has a woolen overcoat effectively to work in. So he would till the fields, it would keep him warm. It also has a hood attached, keeps the sun off, keeps the rain off, and keeps the wind out. He also has winnigers, and again, keeps his hosen safe. Hosen are effectively thigh-high medieval socks. They are fitted very well to you. You want to show off your manly calf muscles, after all, ladies and gentlemen. But if you're having to go through bracken, if you're having to go through bramble, having a large wrap of wool around the top layer just gives you extra protection. Protects your legs and basically keeps your clothes underneath safe. Now you can all see they are wearing various simple colours. This would not cost a lot to dye to get a colour. Normans, as I will demonstrate, are massive peacocks. They love to show off in any which way they can to demonstrate their wealth. And even people here, they didn't just wear brown, no matter how much Hollywood wants you to believe it. They would wear simple colours. It may take one lot of dye, maybe some weld to get a simple blue colour. Wouldn't cost a lot, but they would look after their clothes. They'd be well hemmed, they would be repaired, and they would be taken care of. And one slight difference, this lady, she still has her hair covered, she's still very respectable, but this style was more popular over in Wales. So you'll be able to see the distinction there between women living in Wales and women living in England. Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, that's very kind. You're very awake this morning, that's lovely. So as you two step forwards. So here, we have people doing slightly better in life. We have this gentleman with a very nicely coloured cloak. He has slightly richer colours in his tunic, in his hosen. These are people who are starting to have other skills that we would have. Maybe a lower class merchant. This lady here is an embroiderer. She has some of the tools of her trade on her. So she can afford a cloak, she has a nicely dyed dress, and she has a neatly put together wimple. So these people are well dressed, they're doing slightly better, and the colours that they have, they're doing to show off as best they can. And now, ladies and gentlemen, something slightly different. We have a lady here who is doing even better. Just to show off that she's of a slightly higher standing, she can afford to have the natural linen that she would use to cover her hair bleached. So again, just to show off that little bit more, to be fancy. This lady is a court musician. She also has the tools of her trade. She has her pipe, She's told me what it's actually called, but I can't really pronounce it, ladies and gentlemen, so I'll ask her to tell you what it is.
It's a frastal, so it's kind of like a panpipe, so it's not a very good one. But it was more commonly used by shepherds. It was more commonly used by shepherds, but it was also kind of a very common musical instrument among kind of lower levels as well.
Thank you very much. She's doing quite well, ladies and gentlemen. It certainly earned her some silver, because her dress, she's starting to show off that she's got a little bit of money to waste. Her sleeves are not close to her wrist. She can actually say, look, I'm doing well. I can afford the extra fabric just to have a bit of a looser sleeve. I can have some decoration round the ends of my sleeves, just a bit of banding, a different colour. She's also got decoration on her belt. Like I say, people love to show off in any which way they could. So you can start to see the colours get richer. She has a lovely blue cloak. She has a bone cross on the end of her rosaries, and she has a metal cross. Metal is a very, very valuable material in this time period, because you have to mine the ore, you then have to process the ore and then turn it into wonderful things, whether it's beautiful jewellery or very effective weaponry. It's all incredibly valuable. And then we see, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go up the scale at this point. We're going to go into minor nobility, and you can immediately see the colour change. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. We have fanciness. Yes, yes, flounce away. So you can see, immediately the colours are richer. They are bolder. We have, this gentleman has a sword on his belt. That is an immediate sign of I'm someone important and you should listen to what I'm saying. And also, I would like to tell everyone here, when you have a look around the rest of the encampment towards the rest of the day, ladies and gentlemen, do have a look out for any of the men who are just standing around not doing anything if they have a sword, because they will immediately adopt the "but have you seen my sword" stance. Because really, have you seen it? It's a very nice sword. And they all do that. So you can see now, this man is wearing a bliau. It is finely woven wool. It is beautifully lined in a richly dyed linen. Linen is actually quite hard to dye evenly, so having garments made out of it shows off you're doing quite well. You can afford the dye lots to have it done properly. He has metal decoration on his belt. It has been finely tooled. A rich cloak and a well-made hat, a Phrygian. He also has a large cloak pin. He's basically saying, I'm doing quite well. And we move on to the ladies. These ladies, again, you see, they have slightly larger sleeves now. They're showing off. I can waste that bit more fabric. They're richly dyed. This lady has beautiful decoration on her dress. The cloaks are decorated. And the pins here, the wimple pins that we have to hold these in place, are now jewelled. As you see, ladies and gentlemen, we don't show our ears off, so we can't really have earrings. These are the next best thing. And the more fancy you can get them, the better. So you can see they have signs of faith on them, some jewelled rosary beads, and again, instantly you can see from the colours, these are people who are probably quite important. And then we move further up the line, ladies and gentlemen. Go on, Aubrey. And you can see immediately their flouncing ramps up. So we have here Our Lady and our littlest Lord. As you can see, children's clothes were pretty much exact carbon copies of adults' clothes, just much smaller. And also, they are just about as washable. So, you can see now this lady has her court sleeves. Now this is really showing off, ladies and gentlemen. She has all of this fabric that she can wear to go, look, I've got so much money, I don't even have to use my hands for anything, thank you very much. It's beautifully lined in a richly dyed linen, a lovely blue, and most importantly, this dress is purple. Now purple is a very rare dye in this time period. You would have to go all the way to the Mediterranean. It's a good 4-month trip in a ship to collect the dye. it's made from crustaceans. They would have to be harvested. They would have to be processed. The fabric would need to be dyed, and then you would have to bring it back another 4 months back to England. So if you're thinking 8-month round trip, the Mediterranean is not the safest of seas to be sailing in. There are terrible storms, there are pirates, and so at one point as many as 1 in 3 ships were getting lost. So being able to wear a full dress of purple is very much making a statement. You can also see her wimple, again, beautifully bleached. She has gems in her wimple pins. She has decoration on her belt, and is generally doing rather well. Now Aubrey here is also doing rather well and loves to show off this fact. Now you can see he is wearing a bliau, slightly more decorated than our previous man. Effectively, all the men got rather jealous of the lady's beautiful dress and was like, we would like that too, we would like to show off as well. And so the bliau was created. So you have, of course, this would be his best wear. He would wear this to court. It is heavily embroidered. This would have taken hours and hours and hours of work. Paid somebody to do it. It is a heraldic design. There is metalwork in here. He's just showing off how fancy he is. He has his sword, again, the have you seen my sword stance, and again, a very heavily decorated belt. He has a sign of his faith, as we would all wear, but his is out of gold. This is an immediate showcase. Even his cloak has extensive embroidery along the base of it. This is a huge amount of work you would have to pay someone to do, and again, it's an easy way of showing off. Thank you very much. And we come, ladies and gentlemen, to almost the entire top tier of Norman society, and you can see at this point, it gets a little bit ridiculous. Yes, yes. So here, not only do we have a beautiful bliau, this is a beautiful bliau in black. Black, true black, comes from the iris root. My lord would have to commission a farmer to grow an entire field's worth of iris root. He would have to pay him, put aside the land for that, have the root harvested, processed and turned into dye. And all that process, ladies and gentlemen, would be enough to dye you 1 tunic. So he is showcasing an entire year's worth of agricultural time that has gone into this. All of his embroidery is very, very extensive. It is heraldic. It is done in metalwork. It is done in silk. Silk is one of the new fabrics just coming through to us, ladies and gentlemen. So we are just beginning to show up at the very top tiers. If you can have any kind of silk, you are doing incredibly well. He has a fine sword, a decorated belt. He has gold and silver on his sword belt, just in case you miss the fact that he's very important and very, very wealthy. Even down on the side of his bliau is heavily embroidered, and his cross of faith is gold. Similarly, and more importantly, his wife, she is also showing off. Her court sleeves are huge. These are also extensively embroidered. They have been done with laid work. This is showing off. This is effectively the bio-tapestry stitch. This is hours of intensive work. This is not something she would be doing the dishes in. She has lots of different people to do that for her. Her headdress, her wimple, has white work on it. Her head pins are pearls, and the dress itself, beautifully dyed. Her cross is silver, and she has keys, ladies and gentlemen. I did promise I'd talk to you about keys. I didn't forget. So, keys to women are what swords are to men. They are effectively symbols of our power. Those women with keys, we are the heads of our households. We didn't have banks in this time, ladies and gentlemen. So anything important, be it your coffers, your silver, your expensive spices, your fine fabrics, they would all be locked in different boxes, in chests. And these would be looked after by the head of the household. So if you wanted anything important, you had to come to the women with the keys. So you're best off being nice to them. So there's only one more person really to talk about at this point.
Well, I don't think it's fair to let my Lady Isabella talk about herself, is it? if you'll flick your cloak back in the such flicky way you've been telling everyone else off for, you'll see my Lady Isabella is also wearing a court dress. She also has incredibly large sleeves. And then she's gone one step further even than I have. There are semi-precious stones all along her sleeve, all along her neckline. You look very carefully, they're in a very specific order. There is lapis lazuli, there is amethyst, there is garnet, there is all sorts on here. So not only has it been exceptionally well embroidered, she's literally wearing her jewellery on her clothes. You can see she also has keys. She's also one of these people we have to be exceptionally nice to. And there is one very great difference between Lady Isabella and what everyone else is wearing. If you see, her headdress is incredibly different to what any of the rest of us are wearing. The rest of us are all wearing wimples. Our necks, our hair, our ears are all exceedingly modestly covered. We have our virtue cloth, and our virtue cloth is doing its job. Lady Isabella, not so much. She is wearing a barbette. Now, this barbette was brought over by Eleanor of Aquitaine, the wife of Henry II. She brought it over as a fashion from France. You can see, shockingly, Lady Isabella's hair is uncovered. This, well, would inflame the passions of the men. They wouldn't be able to control themselves. Good Lord. Her neck, the back of her neck is on show. The only thing covered is her ears, and that's purely because of social niceties. Now, this was so shocking that the Pope effectively issued messages going, "Dear Lord men, would you please control your wives?" Henry II responded, "Have you met her? No, I don't think so." It caught on so quickly and so well that Eleanor, her effigy on her tomb is wearing one of these. So, 800 years later, I think Eleanor had the last laugh. So, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. And so, thank you very much for listening to us, ladies and gentlemen. We are Historia Normannis. We are here throughout the day. If any of the clothing you would like to have a closer look at, do please come and find us. We're all very friendly. And I will hand you back over to my lady.
So just to take you up to just past lunchtime, at 11:30, in about 40 minutes' time, there will be Act 1 in the arena outside the castle. That is absolutely worth watching, and we're setting the narrative of the day going. The battle between De Mortimer and Fitz-Edward. That will continue throughout the day in our acts. After Act 1, they're in the siege arena outside the walls, there will be a talk on siege engines of the 13th century. So you'll be able to see them erected and hear about how they were used. At exactly the same time, if siege engines aren't your thing, Trouvert, the 13th century music group, will be doing a display of 12th century music up there in their tent. And then at 12:30, for reasons of copyright, we will be performing Hurried Histories, which is a humorous look of the baronial rebellion. So that takes you up to 12:30. So until Act 1, feel free to go around our encampment, ask any questions you want, have a look at our tradesmen, have a look at their clothes and see some of the sights and the smells of the 12th century. Other than that, the retail tent is obviously open all day, and English Heritage are running a discount on membership if you join today by direct debit. Thank you.